The Joe Rogan Experience.
That's sage.
What you got here? You smoking
No,
this, Joe?
bro. No, you light it up to kill the demons in the room. This Native American lady gave me this. She came in to talk to us about. I got in this long kick of reading about Native American history.
Yeah.
They actually, a lot of them refer to themselves as American Indians, but and then this lady came in and was educating me on a lot of the issues and brought me some sage to clear out all the bad spirits.
Yeah, no, I believe in a lot. I believe in a lot of these rituals and whatnot. Actually, not too long ago, I was actually with Uncle Mike.
Yeah, you told me that.
With Mike Tyson and.
Just get rid of demons right now, bro. Yeah. Demons. Be gone.
Don't start shaking back there, man.
No, we'll be all right. Jamie's no demon. You never know.
Yeah, but I was able to, because, as you know, Mike has always talked about the toad,
Yes.
And I believe you've done the toad, too.
Yeah, what the toad is, what you're referring to, is 5-methoxy-dimethyltryptamine that's excreted by the toad's skin. They take this type of toad, I forget the name of the toad, but they get it excited and excrete this stuff from its skin onto glass, and then they leave that glass out in the sun, and it dries, that excretion dries, and then you scrape it up with a razor blade, and then you smoke that stuff. Or you could just get a synthetic version of it. Colorado river toad. That's what it is. Sonoran desert toad.
Yeah, it's Sonoran.
Yeah. And you can find the center of the universe through the excretions of this toad's body.
Oh, my God. It's a trip,
It's
Joe. It's a trip. So, anyways.
Have you done anything before this? Before you did this, have you any experiences with psychedelics?
Yeah, I've done I've done mushrooms, and obviously I smoke, which I don't know where all the Mary Jane is, but...
It's right here, bro. You want some? Come on, you're retired.
Yeah, why not, man?
Come on, Jeff Nowitzki. Leave him alone. Nowitzki actually wanted everybody to be able to. He's one of the first guys to say it's nonsense. It's not a performance enhancer. Although with Nick Diaz, I think it might be.
Yeah.
I think with Nick Diaz, it might actually be a performance enhancer. I really think so, man. When he fought Gomi, they said he had to have gotten high. He had so much weed in his system when they tested him that he had to have gotten high right before the fight.
Yeah. Light that up, Joe. You puff, pass, or...
Of course.
So I'm going to share my story with you, Joe, and I want you to share yours with me.
Okay.
What type of leaf is this?
Well, that's tobacco on the outside, so it's a blunt, and then the inside it's the weed. I get this from Speed Weed. Shout out to my man Gino.
So anyway, so check this out. You imagine doing the toe with somebody like Mike?
I get high with Mike and I got nervous. Just when I'm nervous when I meet him. Look, he was one of my heroes. When I was a kid, Mike Tyson was the fucking man. I mean, in a way that it's hard for people to convey today, to understand what a cultural figure Mike Tyson was in like 1986. It's hard to convey. No one's gonna understand. Youngest ever heavyweight champion. Knocks out Trevor Berbick when he's 20 years old.
Yeah, he was the same guy that beat Ali, right?
Trevor Berbick beat Ali late in his career when it was real sad. It was a real sad fight. It was a real sad fight.
But it's touching. Remember when Ali went in the ring and gave Mike like a little pep talk?
Yeah.
And then Mike went out there and knocked that dude out in the first round.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali's like, fuck this dude up for me, will you?
Yeah. But anyways, to get back to that, Joe, so...
Yeah.
I've actually been shadowing Mike Tyson for like the last. I'm good friends with his manager Rob Hickman, and just the stuff that they're doing at Tyson Ranch, man, is it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's really cool, right?
Yeah, they're bringing medicine to the world. So Mike, I've been on his podcast. He's always talked about the toad. I was like, all right, so I became good friends with. I call him Uncle Mike, man, because he's just, he scolds me a lot. Every time he sees me, he's always, he'll compliment me, but then he'll scold me at the same time. So he always talked about the toad. I'm just like, well, let's do it then, Mike. Let's do it, Uncle Mike. So he was like, man, dude, you sure you want? I'm like, yeah, man, you've been talking about it for a minute. So, so we go on this, they have this whole real nice settlement with rituals and whatnot. And we go out to Antigua, which is an island off the Caribbean. We have I forget what they're called, the person that...
Shaman?
Yeah, shaman, I'm sorry. And he's out there, and Mike goes first. So imagine this: Mike Tyson does it. Mike Tyson's he's doing it. He's going a bit crazy, man. Because a lot of it, what that does is it brings out a lot of your, as you say, you open up the stage, a lot of your demons, or a lot of things that you probably been holding on to for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing Mike over here twist and turning and kind of talk about a lot of. I don't want to share that stuff, but. Talk about a lot of his past, man. And as me, as you said, he's an idol. He's a legend. That's the way I look at Mike too. So I'm over here hearing him. I'm almost like tripping out, but at the same time intrigued. Because so then I go up and I do it, and man, it took me to especially out of retirement here, man. Like I almost kind of somewhat wanted answers. I was hoping that it would give me, okay, man, this is like the path or whatnot. And it took me to my mom's, like, your mom's like first love, man. And it showed me like in a story, like, almost like in a movie, how I was born, how my mom had me, how by the time I was 8 years old, like I had my sister, so I was no longer the youngest, how my mom kind of like, and in all fairness, kind of somewhat pushed to the side, leaving home at the age of 17 and substituted my mom's love for self-fulfillment, wrestling, mixed martial arts. And it brought me back to a little kid when I was maybe 4 or 5, when I would cry to my mom. Because I remember as a kid we would go from LA to New Mexico, like in Greyhounds. And I remember stopping at McDonald's and things like that. But to me, as a kid, you don't know you're poor. But what that did is that brought me back to the person that created me. That brought me back to my mom's love, man. So it resurrected something in me. And I was crying. I was asking for like forgiveness. I was speaking in Spanish. Mom, perdóname. Like, Mom, forgive me.
Wow.
It was something. It was something scary in some ways, because it does. It takes you out of your body. Like it's almost like you're in Judgment Day, and you're the one that's being convicted, and you're the judge too. And it's telling you, but it's giving you this certain peace. It's like you're so dead that you're alive.
Whoa.
It's a trip, Joe. I don't know which ones you had, but this is what I can share and what I can experience. Like, it was cool, man, because I was able to do it with special people. I did it with Kelvin. Like, we all did it. Like, it was already formally planned. And then my brother back there, my mentor, probably pissed at me because they look out for me a lot. But, man, it was something that, as an adult, you have the rights to make these decisions and share if it's good. And I felt like the Toad was probably one of the best things that's happened to me. Like, honestly, because it makes you realize and reflect on what truly matters.
I think there's a fear of it just because it's illegal. I really think that's it. And it should be respected. It's very dangerous in that sense that it could not that it could do harm to you physically if it's the real deal. It's not going to do harm to you physically. Your body has it in it. Your body knows what to do with it. It's one of the reasons why it's such a quick trip. Your body knows how to bring that stuff back to baseline very quickly. That's why it's only like a 15-minute trip.
Yeah.
But it's not bad for you all the time. I think it's like it's a really powerful thing it's got to be respected. It could fuck you up if you're not ready. If you have some distorted versions of the world that you're operating under. For me, one of the things that made me feel like right away, one of the first things was realizing how much of like the way I talk about things is like calculated. I was trying to figure out, like, I would say things in a way that I wanted people to say, "Ooh, he phrased that cool." Like I would try hard to impress people with the way I was saying things. And I was realizing that as I was trying to describe the trip after it was over. I was like, that's interesting. Like, so that probably leads to a disconnect between me and someone who's listening, because it's not 100% what's going on in my head. It's at least a little bit showmanship and bullshit. And it made me realize it in that moment. Like, and I think it probably made me a better everything. Probably made me a better comedian. Probably made me a better podcaster.
Also,
everything.
it's been a minute. When did you do this for the first time?
The first time I did it was early 2000s.
Oh,
so I guess we're looking at like 2002-ish, somewhere around then.
Yeah.
That was like the first time I did it. Last time I did it was about 2 years ago. But the last time I did it, I did the other kind, the NN dimethyltryptamine. Actually, maybe a little less than 2 years ago. It was NN dimethyltryptamine, which is That's the different version. That's the version of it that's in ayahuasca. That's the version of it. There's a bunch of different snuffs and different ways that people try to get that stuff into their system. But smoking it is the quickest. Smoking it gets you, you vaporize it, and it gets you right to the center of the universe immediately. And all those things, you know, I think, man, one of the cool things about life, like what you're talking about in your journey as a man, your journey as a champion, your journey to become better and to show what you're capable of. All of this is because no one gets it right. You don't just get it right. Like, you fuck it up and you try to do better and you fail and then you figure out what went wrong, and you just constantly analyze whatever you're doing and obsess on it, and you can become better at that thing, and through that you can understand that you can be better at anything. And I think when any kind of psychedelic where you have an opportunity to look at yourself, just really look at yourself accurately, you're not going to like it, but it's going to give you great benefit, because it's going to give you're going to be able to see yourself honestly and see whatever those flaws. Don't get mad that you have all these flaws. Just fix them. Just fix them. Do your best to fix them. And you're not going to get it right, because ego's still going to come creeping back in your life, and ego's still going to hold on to your legs and drag you down while you're trying to run. You know? That's what it is. Ego's like hanging on your ankles while you're trying to run. Like, come on, stay the same. Yeah. But you can't stay the same and get better. The way you get better is to relax and to realize that, you know, all your fuck ups, all the fails, that's not you. Just because you lost a match doesn't mean you're a loser. You just lost. Like, you should be happy that you got this opportunity to feel terrible, because through that opportunity to feel terrible, that's where all the growth comes from. If you can survive it. Some people can't survive it, right? We all know those guys that were really good in the gym, and they had like 1 or 2 matches or 1 or 2 fights, and they just couldn't handle the pressure for whatever reason. They couldn't handle the things that went wrong, and they just didn't want to do it anymore. But they could have been like a world beater. You know, everyone knows that guy. Yeah. Right? And what is wrong with that guy? Well, that guy's got one aspect of your 2-part thing that you were talking about, heart and ability, right? He's got one aspect. He's got the ability. But he's got a missing part, and he doesn't want to look at it. Because if he wanted to look at it, he would concentrate entirely on that, and he would get better at that. But it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to look at yourself. Psychedelics let you look at yourself. Like, hey, stupid, look at you. Remember the last time I did DMT, there was a string of jokers, like jesters with the bells on, dancing in front of me going like this, fuck you, just openly mocking me. And I was like, oh, that must be what I need. I must need that. I'm like, that's good. That's good to see.
Yeah, it's definitely an ego check, man, big time.
Dissolves it,
man. Like with Mike, like, he loves it, dude, and he's, you know, he owes it to the toad. You know what I'm saying? Like, that said that he said that's been a big reason why he's changed his life. You know, Mike wasn't doing so well until he tried this, and he talks about it all the time on his podcast. So
it gives you an opportunity to shift.
It's healed drug addicts. I mean, drug addicts have gone from doing all kinds of crazy things where they tried the toad and they completely just left everything. Guys that they left like almost like a dead man walking to, hey, he's alive again. He's here with us.